Hey guys, in today's video I'll be showing you guys how I made 3 kg worth of puff puff for an event. So for the first time guys, I'll be making 3 kg worth of puff puff. Usually I make puff puff 500 grams or maximum 1 kg. This time around I took the courage to make 3 kg worth. So starting off, I added 9 tablespoons of yeast. For this recipe you need about 500 to 750 grams of sugar, which is 1 cup to 1.5 cup. So I added about a few tablespoons of the sugar to the yeast, and I added 2 cups of water. So the water shouldn't be cold, it shouldn't be too hot, if not it's going to kill the yeast. So I added about lukewarm water, and then I mixed this up and covered it with a cling film. Let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. Puff puff is puff puff because of the yeast, so you want to use plain flour. So I use plain flour 3 kg. So each of this pack is 1.5 kg, and I use 3 kg. So if you're doing buns, you can use plain flour or self-rising flour. So if you're using plain flour, then you do with your baking powder. So but we are doing puff puff today. So I added 3 tablespoons of salt. Don't worry guys, after this I will be dropping the recipe for 1 kg worth of puff puff, and then after that I added the remaining quantity of sugar. Just as I said, for this recipe you need about 500 grams to 750 grams of sugar, depending on the sweetness you want. So then I went in with some nutmeg, at least like a tablespoon worth of nutmeg. You don't want it too much. And I went with chili flakes, like spicy pepper. I added about 4 tablespoons, which I felt like I should have added more. Yeah, so this is totally optional. You can leave it plain, you can add pepper, but pepper and onions really goes well, but I just skipped the onions this time around. And then the yeast butter, should we call this butter? Yeah, it's ready. It shows that my yeast is active. I don't want to take chances. And then I added this into the dry ingredient, and I added water. So the water you need to add depend on the consistency you want. You just keep an eye on it. You don't want your butter too thick, you don't want your butter too runny. If it's too thick, the puff puff tends to be too hard. If it's too runny, it tends to soak up oil when you're frying it, and then you see when you're eating the puff puff, oil will be everywhere, which it might be nice, it might be sweet, but yeah, you just keep it at a reasonable consistency that you like anyway. And then I transferred it into another bowl, because this bowl obviously will be too much. It's going to double in size and might overflow. I let this stay for about 45 minutes to an hour, and look at what it looks like guys. Well risen. Like, this is the joy. Like, it shows that your puff puff is really the yeast is really active. Over a medium to low heat, I'm going to add in some oil and get that oil hot. You can start off with 1 to make sure like the oil is hot, not too hot, so it doesn't just get burnt. So this is how I usually scoop my puff puff. This is what my mom taught me, so this is the method that is most preferable for me. I put it in my palm and squeeze it through my pointer and my index finger, my thumb, yeah, my pointer finger, my thumb. That way it's easy for me to scoop. If you can't do this method, you can simply use a spoon, or you can use the tip of your finger, which I still find those methods challenging. This is very easy for me. And then I do the frying medium to low heat. So puff puff doesn't take too long, maybe 3 minutes it's ready, or less than 5 minutes. And then for the recipe of 1 kg worth of puff puff, you need 1 kg of flour, half cup of sugar, which is 250 grams of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3 tablespoons of yeast, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. For the water, just keep adding little by little until you get the consistency you want. That is for 1 kg worth of puff puff. So I finished frying this puff puff. That is same oil. I didn't add any other oil, and it came out beautifully like this. Just see that oil. I'm just trying to show you guys, because if your puff puff is too runny, or if your oil temperature is not right, the puff puff will end up soaking up oil, which is not, it's not usually pleasant. So I consider making a pepper sauce, because sometimes puff puff go well with pepper sauce, and there will be fish at the event. So puff puff, fish and pepper sauce. I was like, why not? I just brought the pepper sauce. And the reason why I made this pepper sauce is because maybe there might be something that some people would like to add a little bit of spice to their food, you get. And then aside the puff puff, you can still use the pepper sauce for something else. I know some people don't know that you can add pepper in puff puff or onions alongside with the pepper sauce. This hits differently with fish by the side. Oh god. So in a pan, I added some oil. Of course, I'm not making this for my family, so I don't need to be scared of the oil. You guys see the way I added a generous amount of oil. I sauteed some onions and a little bit of garlic, and then I went in some blended tomatoes and let that fry. This tomatoes has been reduced. It's well cooked, like reduced. Then I processed it in a food processor, and then I went with my kenju seasoning, mixture of oregano, garlic powder, onions powder, paprika, and all those. I've got a recipe on kenju seasoning. I added a little bit of seasoning cube, I think 1 or 2, and some salt. This has been reducing, like it's been frying. Then I went in with that blended pepper, the bell pepper and the scotch bonnet pepper mix. I just added it there and I let this cook. And just as I said, puff puff, pepper mix and fish. Thank me later. Also, I've got a recipe on buns which I made, 3 kg worth of buns. I'll be dropping the recipe shortly, and in the comment section and description of this particular video, I'll also be dropping the link to this yummy buns, 3 kg worth of buns. My first time as usual, but it came out amazing. Just take a look at the buns. That should make you to run straight to the comment section and find the link to this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.